YouTube, how you doing? Welcome to the latest episode of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. As always, a quick thank you for taking some time out of your day to check out the latest video, and yeah, for being the best damn community here on YouTube, without a doubt. So before I get started, I'd like to shout out the featured channel of the week, and that is... Yep, Send to Georgie. Be sure to check him out as he travels a lot and picks up all kinds of coins and bullion along the way, and that makes for really interesting videos. And if you're not already subbed to him, be sure to give him a look. All right, moving on. So as we all know by now, this past week has been a really good one for silver since we finally crossed that $38 threshold and hit the highest mark since, wait for it, September 2011, or almost 14 years ago. Unbelievable. Now, whether it stays there or not remains to be seen, and we're going to talk about silver's potentially revised floor in this video, but 2025 has been a pretty solid year for silver overall, since it's gone up a not too shabby 25% in the first half of this year. Also in this video, copper shot up to a record high with its largest increase since the 80s, 1989. So why does that matter today, and what's copper's connection to silver? Believe it or not, they're most definitely in a symbiotic relationship, and it's one of the reasons silver went up this past week. And we're going to talk about all this and a hell of a lot more, so make sure you stay tuned. So first off, how exactly did copper help drive up silver prices this month? I mean, you wouldn't think the two metals even remotely had anything to do with each other, but they definitely do. And here's how it all went down. Yep, starts with this guy right here. President Trump, who on Tuesday, the 8th of July, 2025, was responsible for a copper increase like we haven't seen in 4 decades. 40 years. How'd he do it? Well, he declared he would impose a 50% tariff on copper imports that could possibly be put into place by the end of this month or maybe by August 1st. And as a predictable result, copper futures briefly rose to 17%, to a record $5.89 per pound, which was the largest intraday increase for copper since, get this, 1989, all the way back to 1989. And it finished Tuesday up 13% at $5.68. So how does all this copper stuff tie in with silver price? Well, I'm about to tell you. Approximately right around 70-80% of global silver production comes as a byproduct of mining other metals. We've talked about this a bunch of times. There are very few silver mines, dedicated silver mines out there. And copper mines produce a big chunk of that silver at about 20 to 25% of silver supply overall. And when copper becomes 50% more expensive for U.S. industrial users, demand typically drops across copper-intensive sectors, including construction, electronics, automotive, etc. And this leads to lower demand for copper, ultimately leading to lower copper production, which implies a lower silver supply coming from copper mining. Now, this is a long-term bullish factor for silver. If silver is not coming out of the ground, because copper is not coming out of the ground, the price stays elevated. So, is all this going to set a new precedent for higher copper prices going forward? And in addition to that, higher silver prices? Well, maybe, and maybe not. Now, two different sources provided two different trains of thought. Morgan Stanley analysts were quoted as saying the proposed tariffs would support higher copper prices in the U.S. As the cost of bringing that metal into the country increases, but they also believe that this would likely be a short-term rise as the domestic inventory grows here in the U.S. Another analyst believes the price of copper will rise significantly because the market anticipated a lower tariff rate than we're getting, and there will be a lot of buying before the levies go into effect. And they're forecasting rising copper prices through the end of this year, 2025, citing an expectation among copper traders that Trump would introduce tariffs on the metal as inventories are shifting to U.S. warehouses. Look, all I know is there's a lot of guessing, estimating, and conjecture out there. Trying to make any sense of all this is enough to drive you absolutely freaking nuts.
I just know before this is over, I'm going to need a whole lot of serious therapy. Look at my eye twitching.
All right, so now that we know how copper can affect silver price, the next step is to answer that burning question. Can silver break the $40 resistance plateau and hold it, and then make a move to $50 an ounce? And what's the new floor for silver? Well, based on this present jump in price, We've got to remember one thing. This current surge in copper and silver is mostly due to the increases in tariffs and the uncertainty that they bring. One analyst thinks that as far as current silver rally is concerned, he thinks it's going to be reversed soon. He goes on to say that he could see silver going over that $40, rallying a bit higher to that magical $50 point, and then, lo and behold, tumbling back down to earth. Look, tariffs are a terrible barometer to help predict metal prices. And again, the uncertainty of tariffs really offer nothing substantial to say that silver is going to continue to see growth in the second half of 2025 and going into 2026. Then again, we are talking about silver here. So who really knows, right? My recommendation is just ride out the storm, buy what you can at your own discretion, or, hey, maybe just sit tight for a bit and see where all this goes. I know I've personally slowed down on my silver purchases, but my case is a bit different since I already hit my silver weight goal last year. Anything I buy at this point is just frosting on the cake. But as far as a new floor for silver, I go back to where I stood earlier this year. I said there'd be a high of 38. I might miss out on that. But I still say the floor is 33. I think the days of $20 silver are long gone. I would honestly be shocked if we went back in the 20s again. Not saying it couldn't happen, but I would definitely be a little bit stunned. But again, we are talking about silver here. Nobody freaking knows. All right. There you have it, guys. So we talked about the symbiotic relationship between copper and silver and how these new tariffs could potentially push both metals into new stratospheres. And then we covered a few thoughts on where silver goes from here. Now, what are your thoughts on all this? What do you guys think? Where do you think silver is going to finish the year in 2025? And how high will it go in 2026? Now, be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know. You guys know I love going through them, so make sure you sound off. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Silver and Gold Stack Attack. If you made it this far, hell yeah, I owe you some kudos. I'll definitely catch up with you in the next episode, but in the meantime, ooh yeah, you know what's up.
What do you want to do with your life?
I want to stack.
Damn right, it's stacked. Stay safe and be well, everyone, and be sure to catch me and my silver journey every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. for Stacker's Corner. We have a blast doing it, a lot of fun, great crowd, a lot of giveaways with silver and all kinds of good stuff. We just have a blast doing it. But until then, yeah, I am out of here. Peace, folks. Have a fantastic week ahead. I'll see you soon.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.